Right, here we go. We're going to talk about machine accuracy. And just to review, these are the feed dogs. Those are going to be our friends and our enemy in this. Those lines right alongside the feed dogs are for seam allowances. They have measurements on them: 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 5/8. Setting the edge of the fabric on there can help give you the seam allowance that you want. So we're going to go with a 1/2 inch seam allowance for now. And we're going to slide that fabric in there. We're not getting the needle totally at the edge. We're going to give it some space so the feed dogs can get grip. And we're going to start slowly as always. Just keeping the edge of that fabric lined up with the 1/2 inch mark, and that will give us pretty accurate 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I like to grab the back of the fabric and the front of the fabric when I'm doing a straight line. That keeps the fabric nice and taut so I can go real fast. These machines can go super fast, like 1,000 stitches a minute, I think. Um, and remember, when you get to the end of the line, you're gonna complete the stitch. Go over to the hand wheel over here, rotate it until those marks line up, and we know the stitch is complete. Then you can lift the foot, pull it out, and clip your threads. So that's about how much space I leave between the edge of the fabric and where I start sewing. If you need to go all the way to the edge, you can back stitch it, but it's best to start with a little bit of leeway. So we're going to do another line, this time lining up the last seam with the edge of the foot. And again, we're holding the front of the fabric, so you have a nice taut piece that's being guided into the needle, and we're going to hold it on the side to make sure there's no bubbles. Finishing the stitch, lifting the foot, and clipping the thread. And we got some parallel stitching lines there. A little wibbly at the beginning. Pretty good. Right, here's another angle so you can see how I hold the fabric. Also notice that I'm sweeping those loose threads off to the side. We really don't want to get those caught in the machine. So I'm holding the front of the fabric always to guide it in smooth so we have a nice straight line. And also holding the side of the fabric with my left hand to keep it nice and flat. Threads to the side so they don't get caught. Foot down. Start slowly. Hold it taut. A nice straight line lining up those seams with the edge of the fabric. Complete the stitch using the hand wheel, lift it up, and clip it off. And now we're going to do some 90-degree turns. Still straight lines, but I'll show you how to do the corners. So starting with the straight part, as usual, we're going to make sure that that thread goes in the fork of the foot. Holding the threads as we start, holding the fabric stable, 2 hands on the fabric at all times. And we're going to go real slow getting up to that corner, just to make sure the needle is right on the corner. And the needle is down still. The needle is through the fabric. So we have not completed the stitch. The needle is through the fabric, holding it in place so we can get a nice sharp corner. And putting the foot back down after we turn the fabric. And slowly, slowly towards the edge. I'm not quite there yet, so I'm using the hand wheel to do one more stitch, lifting the foot up with the needle down, foot back down to sew. One more time, needle down, make sure it's all the way in there, foot up, turn the fabric, foot down, sew. All right, by now we know the drill. Get to the corner, needle down, use the hand wheel if you must. And here's a closer view. Going all the way to the corner, using the hand wheel to add one more stitch, lift up, needle down, foot back down, and sew to the next corner. slow and steady. Make sure the layers of the fabric don't move independently as you turn. Make sure that it's all the way in the fabric. There we go. Got that corner done, but oops, it looks like we ran out of bobbin thread. I'm going to fix that off camera, and meanwhile we're going to move on to sewing curves. So we've got a very tight curve, another loop in there, and a nice wide curve at the bottom. First one's a tight curve, so we're not starting straight head on with the fabric. We're gonna ankle it so that the foot, which is straight, lines up with the curve as best we can. So I've got one hand anchoring it on the left, and the right hand is going to be pushing it, pushing the outside of the circle, and the right hand anchors it on the inside of the circle. So we're going around, and the foot is starting to point away from the line, so we're going to leave the needle in like we did before, lift up the foot, and turn the fabric a little bit. We're going to avoid the fabric twisting up and bunching like that. Remember, the feed dogs only go in a straight line, so they're not going to help you with curves. They're going to be a little bit of a force working against you here. So on the tight curves, you're going to end up picking up the foot quite a lot. On the larger curves, you can get away with just using your hands for tension, like I'm doing here. 2 hands on the fabric all the time. Now we're doing an outside curve in the other direction, so the left hand is on the outside of the curve, the right hand is anchoring the center. Looks like we gotta pick up the foot again. Oh, I didn't do it. Now we're gonna pick up the foot, adjust it a little bit. See that fabric getting bunched up there? Pick up the foot. Ooh, I made a little mistake there. You'll see later. I didn't leave the needle in when I picked up the foot. And we're going to see what that results in just a sec. Go slowly around this very tight curve. Hit it again. Gotta put the needle in before you move the fabric. There we go, needle in, turn the fabric. So you can already see the little wonky bit. You can see 2 little wonky bits where oh, now there's 3 visible, where I picked up the foot without leaving the needle in, and that moved it just enough to give less than a smooth line of stitching. So now we're doing a much wider curve here. I don't have to pick up the foot, so I'm just using my hands to push and pull the fabric in the way that I want it to go. You can go a little faster because it's flatter. Finish a stitch, pull it out, and put that, and then we're done. There's the parts you can see where I made mistakes, and for the most part pretty smooth once you leave the needle in. So remember, when we're sewing curves and corners, the most important part is leaving the needle in when you lift the foot up, keeping the fabric steady so it doesn't bunch up around the foot. If you have bunches around the foot, you're going to have bubbles. So keep it steady, keep it careful, and we're good.